It's mud. And it doesn't even have center columns or anything. It's just mud. And they built a fine building on top of a foundation it makes the entire building wrong. You start out with the premise that man is the center of all things, your entire building's wrong. Everything's wrong. Your attitudes are going to be wrong. Your responses, the way you view the world, everything is going to be wrong. You start out with God at the very center, as the end of all things and the beginning of all things. It puts everything else in perspective. And you know one of the things it mainly does? It protects you from possibly the greatest malady in our evangelical world today. Pragmatism. As I heard one man say, we made a decision years ago. Instead of following the theology of Jonathan Edwards, we followed the pragmatism of Benjamin Franklin. Pragmatism. Where the answer to everything, the thing that determines everything else is, does it work? We're protected from that. Because now the question is, does it glorify God? Is it true? Does it bring glory and pleasure to God? I don't sell myself for success in the ministry. I don't judge myself by numbers and budgets and this and that. There's one question. Does it glorify God? Is it right? Is it true? Is it biblical? Come what may. Now, let's go ahead and we got started a little late, so let's go ahead and break our way through this, and when we get through the end, we'll take a break. Robert Haldane writes the following: there was nothing brought under the consideration of the students of divinity who attended me at Geneva, who I taught, which appeared to contribute so effectually to the overthrow of their false system of religion, founded on philosophy and vain deceit, as the sublime view of the majesty of God presented in the 4 concluding verses in this part of the epistle. He's speaking about Romans 11:33 through 36. Now, he's saying, you know about that text, that everything from Him, for Him. The whole idea in Paul's mind is that everything comes from Him. He's the ultimate source. He's also the ultimate end, that it is all God. Haldane is saying this one doctrine destroyed the vain deceit of men, the humanism of philosophy. It destroyed it. That one solid rock. Now, he says, of Him and through Him and to Him are all things. Here God is described as His own last end in everything He does. Judging of God as such and one as ourselves, they, the students, were at first startled at the idea that He must love Himself supremely, infinitely more than the whole universe, and consequently must prefer His own glory to everything besides. Now, when the students, look at this, when they first hear this, they're startled. Their whole world is shaken up. Do you see that? I mean, it's like, what is it? I'll tell you what it is. It's Paul on the road to Damascus. That's what it is. Absolutely everything in his world is shattered. Paul eats something. No. Paul drinks something. How can you even mention food and drink at this time? His whole world is shattered in a million pieces because his center, he just didn't have a few things, guys, that needed to be tweaked. His whole center, his whole foundation was wrong. I mean, when you come to me and say, I've built something in my wood shop, and you say, well, Brother Paul, you know, if you took a little off this side and you did this over here, I think it would look a lot better. That doesn't bother me that much. Those are great ideas. When you come to me and say, this whole thing is a piece of junk and you need to destroy it and start all over again. And I'm sitting there with my lips stuck out, but you don't understand. I worked on this for 47 hours. I don't care. It's all wrong. Jesus shows up and appears to Paul and blows his entire life to pieces. Paul, everything about your life is wrong. That's one thing for your wife to tell you that. It's another thing for God to tell you that. And that's what happens here with Haldane students. They're startled. Now, look at the difference between this and God loves you and has a wonderful plan for your life, like Norton Wakefield pointed out. You walk up to a person, you say, God loves you and has a wonderful plan for your life. Just think about the person you're talking to. He's an American. Okay? Basically. Well, just anybody fits. He hears, God loves me. And he goes, well, I love me too. I mean, God loves me, I love me. I could like a God like this. I mean, I'm the center of my universe. It appears that God's on the same team with me. And He has a wonderful plan for your life. Well, I have this is great. I didn't know that. God has a wonderful plan for my life? Yeah, well, I have a wonderful plan for my life. I could accept a God like that. I could receive Him into my heart, especially when it only takes 5 minutes. But when God shows up and says, look, everything about your life is wrong. Your entire center. You are not the center of the universe. I am. I do love men, and I do have a plan for them. It's not theirs. You might not be able to figure out what my plan exactly is, but you can know what it is exactly not. My plan is not yours. You see the difference? It's a big one. And so they're startled. People are no longer startled at our gospel. Why? Our gospel's their gospel. They've got good news for modern man. We love ourselves, that's good. We have plans for ourselves, that's good. You see how quickly things can erode when God is not the center of all things. Now speaking of the students, he says, but when they were reminded that God in reality is infinitely more amiable and more valuable than the whole creation, and that consequently, if he views things as they really are, he must regard himself as infinitely worthy of being more valued and loved, they saw that this truth was incontrovertible. Now, I want you to think about something. I want you to think about something here. If he views things as they really are, reality. It's like climbers that I used to know, mountain climbers, friends of mine, just radical extreme sport. Before they were called extreme sport. When I was younger in college, we were called insane. Now it's an extreme sport. They would always say, gravity, man, it's really a bummer. What were they meaning? You fall. You let go, you fall. It's really a bummer. Gravity can really get on your nerves. Reality can really get on your nerves. When God takes center stage, it's reality. He really is the greatest. He really is the fountain and the end. He really is the center. It's just reality. When we speak about radical depravity, that men cannot come to God, people say, I don't like that. I don't want that. I don't think that's the way it